Welcome to a very special episode of Shipwreck Sunday. Today is my 25th birthday, and in honor of that, I'm going to go ahead and rank my top 10 favorite ships, starting with number 10. First to mention on this list is RMS Baltic, built in 1903 and part of the famous Big Four of the White Star Line. Not only was RMS Baltic the bro of the seas, as Part-Time Explorer once coined her, but she made it into the 1920s and simply caught my fascination when I was younger just because she was associated with Titanic. Once I looked into her story, I found that the rest of her career was even more interesting and iconic. The story of Costa Concordia has always been fascinating, bizarre, and frustrating for me, to the point that I just can't get enough of it. I was first introduced to her through Internet Historian's video, which I'll link in the description, and from that point on, her story always stuck out to me. She may not be the most beautiful or iconic of vessels, but she will always fascinate me, and her story will always stick with me. It may come as a surprise to some, but one of my favorite ships is one I've not yet covered, and that would be RMS Teutonic. Her engine design changed the game, and she was one of the most memorable of the White Star Line ships in my opinion. Her and her sister Majestic were sleek, fast, and far more advanced than many of their contemporaries. This reserves her a spot on my list. Coming up next on this list is RMS Queen Mary. She's an iconic queen that revolutionized the shipping world in the 30s and 40s, keeping a dying industry alive. Not only this, but the fact that the city of Long Beach, California loved her so much that they adopted her and have kept her there ever since her retirement is one of the best things about this ship. I'd love to see her in person before she disappears forever, and I hope she'll always be remembered. If it isn't obvious, Edwardian-era ocean liners are my absolute favorite, especially the Olympic class, so of course, the youngest sister of the Olympic class has to be on my list. HMHS Britannic's story is tragic for two main reasons. First, the loss of the brave men and women who died in her sinking, and secondly, the fact that her illustrious career as a passenger liner was never to be had. That paired with her iconic white hospital paint scheme and brilliant davit design makes her one of my favorite ships to study. This one is not going to be surprising for many of you regulars, but her placement on this list might be. MS Achille Lauro is one of my personal favorites, even though I'm not typically the biggest fan of cruise ships, especially over ocean liners. However, the Blue Lady's story and beautiful royal blue color instantly won me over, and the story of Moss Hills not only rescuing passengers on MTS Oceanos, but MS Achille Lauro as well has always made my jaw drop. A ship that many might not peg as one of my favorites is MS Estonia. She was one of the more beautiful looking ferries in my opinion, and her story is downright heart-wrenching. The first I heard of her was through the Estonia documentary on Discovery Plus, and it brought tears to my eyes. I instantly needed to look into her, and from then on, I've been fascinated and horrified ever since. This list would not be complete if I didn't include RMS Mauretania. Though Lusitania has a story that is close to my heart, RMS Mauretania just outshines her in my mind. Her story, incredible design and beauty, and the fact she made it to the scrapyard in one piece makes her one of a kind in my book. I'll always love good old Maury. This one is hard not to put as my number one, and at times I think she just might be, and that would be RMS Olympic, the eldest sister in the Olympic class. She was just absolutely beautiful, innovative, and simply a badass. There's not many ocean liners that ran down and sank a U-boat, let alone survived World War I to make it to the scrapyard, and this is why Old Reliable is my number two. This may seem basic, this may seem typical, and it may just seem downright cringeworthy, but I'd be a liar if I put any other ship in the number one spot other than RMS Titanic. She was the ship that started my love of ships, and she'd opened up a whole world for me that I didn't know would pull me in the way it would. Her tragic story, her beautiful design, and the era in which she existed were all just perfectly aligned for her to become the icon she is, and that's why she's just an incredible vessel and my favorite. That's just my list, not the best list. I'd love to hear your favorite ships in the comments section below. Thank you all so much for choosing this as our bonus video option and for celebrating my birthday with me. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we'll see you this Sunday with the Merry Rose.